Wolfpack Wrestling fans, it is a December edition of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, brought to you, of course, by Wolfpack Wrestling Club and Wolfpack RTC. I'm your host, Brian Reinhardt. Joining me, head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio.
Brian, always great to see you.
Pat, I didn't know if you were trying to text me there. We're live.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to turn off the ringer so we don't have any interruption.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that.
On your,
okay.
On your,
I like the mental focus. We're here, December. You guys went out to Vegas. We're going to talk about that, obviously, but we always love to hear your travel stories.
Stories?
Any adversity on this trip?
We always deal with adversity when we travel, but this was pretty smooth. I think the biggest takeaways with our travel is we had a lot of guys like Tommy and Kevin who I had to pull them off the tables and get them back to their duties. Yeah. Those guys are very intrigued with the card games. Let's just say that.
Now, I know Tommy was. Kevin's into it now, too?
Yeah, I think Christmas is going to be good for those guys.
They both have families to support. I hope it was good and not all their per diem.
I think Tommy put about 20 hours in. We figured he made minimum wage that weekend for the amount of hours and the money that he made.
I was going to say, we talk about tournaments long. This one, no exception, the normal long days for a tournament.
Yeah, that's the thing behind the scenes. Guys are up basically 5:30, getting up, checking their weight, being ready, in case someone needs to lose a little weight in the morning. Give them some time. But, yeah, weigh-in started at 7, and I feel like we finished the first night by the time some guys had to go and lose a little more weight. They were back in the hotel by about 10 p.m. So you can do the math on that, Brian.
Okay, yeah. Well, us watching at home, we were up long hours too. It was hard to sit on that couch and watch the computer.
I'm sure it was, and the time change was perfect for you.
Oh, it was fantastic. I got my morning workout in, got my cookout going, and then just turned on the computer.
But
before we talk to Vegas, I promised that I would plug a little bit. We got to pay some bills around here. I don't get paid. I do this for free. So I'm not sure where this money is going to go, but let me get a link. You have your team shop going on right now.
Yep.
So I guess before we advertise, people could see the URL, go visit the team shop. Kind of describe what is the team shop and what's it used for?
Well, we get a ton of requests for gear every year, and this is a great opportunity for people to go out and purchase NC State wrestling gear and support and look good at the same time. So anyone that's coming to our matches can wear and support NC State wrestling. And you got Adidas right there, followed up with some takedown gear from former alumni Dustin Kawa. And I think it'll look good when we're at, whether it's a home duel or on the road, and NCAAs, ACCs, people can be wearing the red and black.
I will say, hopefully people are watching this podcast on YouTube because we're advertising the URL on YouTube. I'll put it in the description too. Team store is probably going to close pretty soon, so get that gear soon. Christmas is coming up. Pat, can't wait to see which one you buy me. I'll leave it as a little surprise.
We will definitely wait and see, Brian. I like those fighting shorts on you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be waiting quite a long time to see.
I think there's some spandex we can get you in.
I did hit the treadmill this morning at 5:30, so I'm in good shape.
You look leaned out.
So, yes, go visit the team store. Great way to obviously buy NC State wrestling gear, but just a great way to support the program. Supporting the program, Vegas, you guys were out there. We were talking before you even got online. This was such a great tournament. I remember a couple years ago, you said about the schedule, you really wanted to get this on your calendar because this is one of the top tournaments every year. And this year, no different. 15 of the top 20 or 15 of the top 25 teams were there, 7 top 10 teams. I saw incredible 138 ranked wrestlers, 48 top 10 wrestlers. This was a heck of a tournament this year.
Yeah, I think if you look at the field, this in the format of the tournament, it mirrors a lot of the NCAA tournament. And you get past that first round, you're running into ranked wrestlers, and we needed it. Our guys got tested, and we had to battle through, whether it was matches that didn't go our way or just different calls, refereeing, whatever it is. We deal with adversity and see how guys respond. And I thought, as the tournament went on, we kind of settled in and had some pretty good results for, where we're at as with our training and kind of the competition we've seen thus far. This was definitely a good true test for December 5th.
And this was one of the first competitions of the year you guys had. If someone did take a loss, they had to come back in that consolation bracket.
Yeah.
Different kind of emotions there, but you guys, a lot of guys really performed well in the consolation brackets.
Yeah, and I think that speaks volumes to the character of the team. Our guys are known to be pretty tough mentally and physically, and that's not a fun place to be, whether it's this tournament or any other tournament or NCAs. And sometimes it's tough mentally to battle back, but I was really proud of the effort and kind of what defines our program right now. These guys are going to give it their all no matter where they're at in the bracket.
6 podium finishes. NC State was one of just 2 schools to have multiple champions. So I think we got to, kind of start the recap with that. 133, Kai Rooney, top seed. First time this year, he's got multiple matches in. I think 3 ranked wins to end his tournament. Obviously won that battle. Great second period against Frost from Iowa State. But you guys have been waiting to get Kai out there for multiple matches, and he really performed well this weekend.
Yeah, in a dominant fashion. His style of wrestling is very unique and fun to watch, and he's got a really good skill set no matter what position he's in. And sometimes when you go out and as the 1 seed, you got to defend that, and he did a phenomenal job doing that and kind of dominating in the finals. And that's a match. I think with Kai right now, when he starts wrestling some of the better guys and he can really separate that score, that's only going to work in his favor as we get towards the end of the year.
Your other champion up at 197, and breaking news, USA Wrestling just named this individual the Wrestler of the Week. I'm not sure you saw that yet. So
I think that parlays into maybe his NYAC finish too.
Okay.
You could save a couple weeks.
Wrestler of the couple weeks. I like that. But Trent Hidley, everybody wanted to see Trent this weekend because everybody's curious up at 197 facing some of the bigger, tougher guys. I thought he beat the Cornell kid. That was a great win for him. Cornell kid was an All-American U23 medalist, and very scrappy championship bout against Smith from Maryland. Not a lot of points, but Trent kind of controlled the mat and all that. And he's just proven that he can win some different ways now.
Yeah, and I think that was the takeaway in the weekend. You look at every match that he had to wrestle, he saw different body types, different styles, and that was the whole point of going to this tournament, is to kind of see where you stand when you got to wrestle back to back, different types of wrestling. And he did a phenomenal job adjusting and adapting. And he's got a target on his back, and he usually gets guys' best matches, and he's ready for that. You look at the experiences that he's encountered with the overseas wrestling and then NYAC. I think it's been a true test to him, and he's building a lot of confidence, knowing that 197 is a perfect weight for him right now.
He was probably able to sleep a little. He's not having to cut down to 84 at night now.
It's changed the game a lot, and I think that's going to be to his advantage as the season wears down. You're not putting that extra miles on your body when it comes to the weight cut and the grind of having to get on the treadmill. You wrestle all those matches and forget the next day guys still got to weigh in. Instead of going to the gym and working out for another hour, you can go back, recover, regroup, and get ready for another hard day. And he did just that.
One other weight class I want to point out, coming in, I think everybody talked about 157 was going to be the hardest. Unbelievable bracket. The performance of Ed Scott, he fell in the second round, kind of a little bit of an upset there, but came back, won 6 straight in the consolations. He ended with wins over number 10, then number 6, then number 5. Just great effort. He lost to a couple of those guys last year, so kind of seeing reverse results, but Ed really showed up after he lost that one match.
Yeah, and again, it speaks to the character of Ed. When you have a letdown and you don't dwell on it too much because you don't really have time to do it. And coming back, finishing third, was a really positive part of the season for him in this tournament. But Ed's kind of guy, as the season goes on, he's going to get better and better the more mat time he gets, and he just cleans up and fine tunes some of the things that he's needs to focus on. I think you see a different outcome in those matches, and that's exactly what he did, from the first round or two towards the end of those matches. And he's a tournament wrestler, and he's got the experience now, and he's going to be dangerous come March, and he's fun to watch. He can score points from every position, and that was definitely one of the deeper weight classes. If you look at the field that was all in there, 57 was, I think you had multiple All-Americans across the board there, from the two guys in the finals to the two guys going for third and fourth. And I think you had five or six All-Americans coming back wrestling in that weight. So that was not an easy weight to compete at.
Yeah, I was going to say Ed's final 2 wins were both over All-Americans from last year. So just got his confidence going. Well, Ed always has confidence, but even, took it up a level for him.
Yeah, and look good.
How about a commercial break here,
Look good.
Okay.
Oh,
you make me do
You've been talking a lot.
Yeah, I know. You make me do all these. You got to sell this program.
Tell me how to do it and talk.
But Wolfpack fans, thanks for listening to the podcast. Obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, how about watching the podcast? Go over to YouTube, the Wolfpack RTC channel. Each episode has gotten more and more views, so we appreciate that. You see, we like to have a good time on here. Pat doesn't take it seriously, never shaves for this.
Nope.
So
ready to go every day.
Come as you are. But we're sitting here. It's the Wednesday after Vegas. You guys are off this weekend, and then the road show continues. Going down to Nashville, actually on a Tuesday, I believe, is the competition day, right? So what are you guys kind of doing? Because there's about a week and a half off here. Not off, but no competition. So what's going on right now in the NC State wrestling room?
Well, it's finals week too, so let's not forget we got to really zone in and sign up for the academic side of things. And guys do a really good job when we're on the road, staying in front of their schoolwork. But this is a week that we need our guys really focused in the classroom and finishing hard with the finals. And I think we're in a good spot academically for guys to do very well this semester. And we just want to close it out strong. Regrouping, we went down the room yesterday and we had anywhere between 8 to 5 matches with most of our starters. So in a short period of time, that's a lot of miles on the body in a weekend. So we're regrouping, getting everyone back to 100%. And we're still almost a week out from competition, being a Wednesday, knowing that we compete, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. We got time to kind of settle back in, get the soreness out of us, work on some technical things. But we got to be ready to wrestle 3 hard matches come next Tuesday.
3rd straight year you guys are at the Collegiate Wrestling Duals. Not put words in your mouth, but this is we'll go over what teams you guys are facing, but this is a great opportunity each year that you guys get some duels you probably wouldn't do home and homes with. So meeting some of these teams on neutral sites, really beneficial.
Yeah. And again, it's competition that historically we don't see, whether or not we match up with them as we did a couple times with Ohio State, some UNI matches. It's good to see these guys, and they all have really good lineups across the board. So we're going to get tested, and it's what we set the schedule for this year, is to see a lot of good, hard, tough competition and really prepare us come March. And this is going to be a true test with the 3 teams that we get to battle against.
Over to Nashville, so I assume you got the sleeper bus.
That is incorrect. We have this thing called commercial airlines that we.
Wow, that was nice. Hey,
Nashville.
Do you remember the first collegiate duel, sleeper bus down to Florida?
We did. It was a fun trip. I think we learned that was a little long on the you were knocked out most of the trip.
Yeah, it was the experimental year. So now you guys are flying, but all right. So going Collegiate Wrestling Duals, Lock Haven, UNI, Ohio State. Very familiar with all 3 of these schools. Obviously, Lock Haven was last year. UNI was last year. Ohio State, you guys have faced kind of recently too, but highlight some of the matchups. And I know you hate talking about rankings, but look at the Lock Haven duel. If you go to Intermat right now, number 1 wrestler, Camacho, NC State, number 2 wrestler, Noto, Lock Haven. Doesn't get much better than number 1 versus number 2.
No, that would be a great match for both those guys. And, it's a match that obviously we were thinking we were going to see last year, but with Camacho being out, We had to prolong it a year, and it's good. You know, you look at that weight class, and that weight class is really up for grabs this year, and it's a great opportunity for Camacho to see where he's at with a returning All-American who had a really good NCAA tournament and is having a really good career. So it's a good opportunity to see two of the best guys in the country battle it out, and it's going to be a fun match.
If you go on Twitter or X or whatever it's called today, you'll see everybody complaining about the chaos at 125. So these guys are all hitting. Everybody's hitting each other right now.
It's all going to get worked out come March, right, Brian?
I know you love that phrase. It's all going to get worked out come March.
Eventually.
You and I, they have some great lower weights, but the one guy you guys are very familiar with up at 184, returning finalist #1, Parker Keckheisen. You guys have seen him multiple times now. You're throwing a redshirt freshman out there, Dylan Fishback, and Fishback really impressive in Vegas too. Beat the #4 overall guy, beat the #16 overall guy. Both of his losses were to guys currently ranked in the top 10, but Keckheisen, the guy is nonstop. I mean, he's got to be one of the toughest wrestlers. So you talk about another test for Fishback. This is definitely the top test.
And again, you look at his schedule through the year, he probably has one of the tougher schedules, and being a redshirt freshman, it's a great opportunity. You got to seize every moment and be ready for battle. And this is going to be a great opportunity against, you know, right now on paper, the #1 guy in the country was in the national finals last year, has a ton of experience, and it's just one of those matches you got to show up, be ready to compete, and make it a 7-minute hard fought bout. And he's ready for it. I think he's one of the guys that had 8 matches last weekend, so I can tell you his conditioning is definitely going to be in a better spot after you go through a tournament like that. And he's one of the guys, you know, you come back from that tournament, you got to make sure you're healed up and get all the soreness out and be ready to go in another really good competition, because again, with the 3 duels that we have, he's going to get tested in all 3 of them, and it's only going to make him better.
You guys will wrap up down there. Ohio State, how about this one? 9 ranked versus ranked matchups potentially. I mean, you guys are #2 in the rankings. Ohio State's #5. So a great battle. 2 that I looked at, 141, 149. Both top 10 battles, both going to be rematches from Vegas, hopefully. I did have to ask Jackson Arrington, he medically forfeited the second day. Everything okay there?
Yeah, he'll be back come Nashville, and just we know it's a long season, and just where we're at in that tournament, there was no need to keep pushing it, and it was, you know, minor setback, but he's a tough kid, and we expect him to be in the lineup come Nashville. And those matches are going to be the interesting ones, is what kind of adjustments the both sides make, and let those guys battle it out, because each match, you know, I think you look at Ryan Jack's match in the finals as a 1 takedown match. We were close to scoring on a takedown. And then Jackson's match was a pretty wild one, pretty high scoring. He made, 1 minor mistake at the end of the match that cost them the match. But I'm confident that these guys will make their adjustments and get back out there, and it's going to be another 2 competitive matches for both those guys.
I was going to say they both faced an Ohio State guy in Vegas. Ryan Jack's second place finish, by the way, out in Vegas. But outside of hitting an ACC guy at the NCAA tournaments, this is kind of rare to hit the same opponent just 2 weeks apart, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you look at it, you know, Trent went through that last year as well. It was a Vegas finals match, and then in the dual meet, you know, got to get a rematch in that. And those are hard to do sometimes. You know, you get it's kind of like when we're in conference and then you go to the ACCs, you know, you're wrestling a guy 2 weeks later, and it's at the level they're at. You know, it's one thing if you're the #1 guy in the country and you're wrestling a guy that's maybe not highly ranked, but when you got 2 of the better guys in the country going at it, it's makes for interesting matchups.
Pat, I saw a tweet yesterday, 31 days until the first home meet. How much are you guys looking forward to actually being in Reinhardt? I think we'll do a podcast before that, but it's coming up here. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and I think we're close to being a sellout for that duel. And I imagine as we get closer, there'll be more tickets sold. But I would imagine it's going to be high demand and tough to get that tickets for that duel. So I would encourage people to make sure they go online, get them now, including you, Brian. There's no free passes.
Look at you selling some tickets here. I like this. I like this. Okay.
We'll have to sneak through the back door.
We didn't even rehearse that. That was
and
great.
Speaking of which, before that duel, we are doing a social over at Mitch's Tavern on the bottom area there. It's limited to about 70 people who, have continued to support us and people that have been backing our program financially. So it will be a little fun event that we'll do right before the duel.
I was going to say those socials are fun. Obviously, a bunch of wrestling fans getting together, but you have some administrators, there'll probably be a coach or two that pops over before, but just good camaraderie before a duel to kind of talk and hang out with, fellow fans.
Yes, and the diehard ones that are back in the program in every which way.
I saw a couple of diehard ones out in Vegas on the camera. I mean,
we did. We had a good crew out there.
And that's pretty cool.
That's the luxury of where we're at as a program right now. More and more people supporting and helping, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Our guys appreciate it, and we need more of that.
Pat, great catching up. I'm going to throw up the URL for the gear store right now. And like I said, fans, probably not going to be open for too many more days. So make sure if you want NC State wrestling gear, this is where to find it. Besides the shirt off Pat's back, I don't think you're going to find this stuff anywhere else. I like, you know what? I wear that one to the gym all the time. I like that.
I know why you do it. When you sweat just a little bit, you can see it. And I know
absolutely.
You're one of those guys that has.
I hate wearing the black ones because you can't tell if you're working or not. But if you wear the gray ones, you can sweat pretty good. But Pat, thanks for catching us up. Good luck in Nashville. Another great week. Actually, it's not a weekend. It's going to be a day. Skip work that day, folks.
I would too.
You're going to have duels. I think it's 2, 4, and 6. So
don't forget the time change. There's a time change too, Brian. So when you log in and you're wondering why the duel isn't up, it's because Nashville's behind.
I'll be working that day, so I'm not sure if I'll be online, but that's great. But Pat, thanks for catching us up. Excited to hear all about Vegas that you guys went on out there, and looking forward to watching you guys down in Nashville against 3 great teams.
Yep, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Wolfpack fans, this is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, obviously presented by the Wolfpack Wrestling Club. Thank you for listening today. Go Pack.